Hi all, this is Chris and Eli from landlordgurus.com. Today I'm going to be interviewing Chris about his recent experience filling a vacancy and what that experience was about.
Hey everybody. Yeah, I recently used Avail to list my property and wrote an article about it, so you can find it. We'll post the links after this video.
Okay, I read your article, Chris, and just had a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Sounds like creating an account and setting up property profiles was simple, and it took only a little bit of your contact information and property information. So once you'd done that, were you able to convert your unit profile directly into a vacancy listing?
Yeah, so it was pretty easy to get started. You just need your email address and a password, and you can create an account. Later on, once you're in, you can add your profile info, like your name and address, and email preferences about what you want to be notified for. And then separately, you would add your property information, like the building name and address, and unit numbers. But yeah, once you've created a property and unit combination, you basically can start in either with collecting rent or screening tenants or drafting a lease, or in my case, to list my unit. So that's what I did. Creating that listing is pretty straightforward. It just Avail sort of walks you through the process. You fill in the blanks about the unit details, like the number of bedrooms and bathrooms, size, terms. You choose your amenities that you offer, write your catchy description, upload photos, and it's pretty much done.
Avail automatically posts your listing to a long list of sites, which is great because it gets your vacancy in front of a lot of candidates. There were some challenges with the number and level of follow through from the leads you got, I think, right? Could you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so Avail does publish to their Avail system along with the Zillow network, like Zillow, Trulia, HotPads, Apartments.com, Zumper, and a bunch more. You can also share that listing. It gives you a URL, so you can share it on Facebook or Twitter, or put it wherever you like. So yeah, I did receive a lot of leads. I have to say that I'm casting that wide net to a lot of different sites. I did get a lot of leads. I did get some duplicates from people who responded to the ad, the same ad on multiple sites. And I did receive a lot of leads where people actually then never followed through. Like I would respond with an offer to show the unit and didn't receive responses back from quite a few. Even had a handful of no-shows after we scheduled appointments as well. So I don't know if that was specific to Avail in this network, or if it's just timing of the market right now, but that was my experience.
Yeah, my experience is that using some of these advertising platforms, I have developed kind of ways that I think it works best. Are there any ways you'd set up your listings differently if you were to do it in the future on Avail?
Yeah, so I guess since I advertise also on Craigslist, it works well here in this market, so I still do it on Craigslist. But as a result, you get two different platforms for receiving and responding to leads. You get the Avail platform, and then you get the emails from Craigslist. And so for a while, I was using the booking, to schedule showings on Avail, where the tenant can just select a date and time that they want to schedule a showing. But as a result, I would sometimes get double bookings, right? So someone could click on a time through Avail, and meanwhile, I'm corresponding with someone on Craigslist. We end up booking multiple parties at the same time, which was kind of a drawback, and I had to go back and reschedule and things like that. So that's one thing that I would look out for and try to pay more attention to next time I use Avail.
I noticed you didn't initially accept applications directly through Avail. Why did you choose not to do that?
Yeah, well, just as a general rule for myself, I like to make sure the potential tenants have a chance to see the apartment, either in person or at least virtually before they apply. Just to make sure there's no surprises or disappointments or anything, once they actually move in. And as you're familiar with Seattle's first in time rule, tenants may try to get their applications in as quickly as possible so they can be first in line, and so may fill out that application without really even looking at the place or thinking about what they're doing. So they end up regretting it later, and it's just it's more work for everybody down the road.
Yeah. It sounds like the messages the message thread feature, where you can see all communications and requests for an application and track progress is pretty interesting. Did you end up finding that function pretty helpful?
Yeah, very helpful. So you can, it consolidates all the messages right on their website, and you can see what you've written before and what they've written before, and it keeps things organized and clean. You can also archive message threads from people who, decided they didn't, want to apply or moved on. So yeah, it consolidates it and makes it really clean and simple. You can also see who's applied and see how far along they are in the process, and then also see when they've completed their application.
And you did end up accepting applications through Avail, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
And how was that? Did you find it easy to request screening reports once you did have applicants?
Yeah, it was good. It's just a matter of clicking the request application button within the message thread that you have with that person. You can also send a link to someone, if they didn't come through Avail, if they came to Craigslist and wanted to apply, you could send them the link to that, and they just click on it and can start applying right away.
Cool. And did you use the feature where you can email an applicant's employer and rental references directly through the Avail dashboard?
Well, I think Avail does this automatically whenever an applicant includes the email address of a previous landlord. So it sends off a message to that landlord, asks a handful of yes or no type questions, like confirmation that they rented from them in the past, whether they paid on time, took care of the property, etc. They're also allowed to fill out a kind of a general comments field as well. It also includes the applicant's authorization to consent to the reference, which is good. So, but one thing Avail does not follow up with the landlord if the landlord doesn't respond. So it's at that point it's up to you if you want to reach out again.
Mm-hmm. And were you able to do that through Avail, or do you take the email address and follow up separately?
To do that separately offline.
Separately. Okay. How about screening reports? We can't use criminal background information in choosing tenants here in Seattle. I guess you probably only require the credit and eviction reports from your applicants.
Well, I still did request the criminal background report because it includes the sex offender information, which we are still allowed to screen for here in Seattle.
Yeah.
But Avail does bundle all three reports together if you want, so it actually saves you a little money in getting all three done at once.
Mm-hmm. I'm interested in the local assist tool from Avail that helps landlords customize a lease that suits their local laws. I know you didn't use Avail's lease system, but did you check out how it works and how it might work for us in Seattle, given all our complexities and changing rental laws?
Yeah, the local assist feature is pretty cool. I didn't use the lease creation product, but it does look pretty comprehensive. That local assist tool provides, localized clauses for your lease and disclosures and attachments. So, for example, I did notice that Avail includes the Seattle Department of Construction and Inspections publication information for tenants.
Wow, that's great.
Included. Yeah. Along with lead paint and mold disclosures, attachments and pamphlets. So you should still familiarize yourself with local rental rules and requirements. And in fact, Eli, you wrote an article about that, and so I'd encourage everyone to check that out as well.
Right. Yeah, we'll include a link to that, below the video here. Okay, we'll skip over rent collection through Avail since you haven't started to see that in action yet, right? But could you just tell us how it was to set that up?
Yeah, so I haven't used Avail for rent collection yet, but it makes it easy to integrate it into your processes. You can even choose to require online payment setup as an optional clause in your lease, and then Avail enables automatic recurring rent payments, and they help tenants enroll into the online rent payment once they sign the lease. There's no charge to set up the rent payments, and all the bank transfer fees, like the ACH fees, are paid by the tenant. Yeah, so it's easy to set up. You just enter in your rent info, including any fees and deposits, late fees and whatnot. Invite tenants to sign up, and then connect your bank account that you want your rent to be deposited into.
Great. Finally, can you tell us how Avail did in helping streamline the whole process of filling your vacancy? It's a challenging time right now, I might add.
Yeah. So particularly in these times, it made made the listing process really quick and easy. Post it to a wide network of sites, so you get a lot of eyeballs, and especially now where you don't really know where that next tenant's going to come from. And then, like we talked about before, consolidating all the communication and inquiries into one place is really useful. Showing the units and sending the application requests like immediately. What I did is I had my the website open on my phone, and if the person looking wanted to apply, I could just go to their message thread on Avail and send the application right there. So you don't have to bring application forms and pens and everything else. So it makes it really good, especially these days where it's contactless kind of times. The only thing that I would like to see from Avail, I guess, would be to have an ability to show the units virtually, directly through their platform. Because I did do a handful of virtual showings over Zoom, but it meant I'd have to go back and forth between Zoom on my phone while showing it to them and looking at their information on my browser. So it's going back and forth. If it's all in one platform right there, that'd be pretty slick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks, Chris. And everyone out there, stay tuned. Chris will let us know about rent collection through Avail soon. We'll also post a transcript of this conversation, and include lots of other useful information on managing a rental property. So thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for all our content coming soon.
Thanks, Eli. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Bye.